Hi, welcome to the parent support video. My name's Miss Worthington and I just wanted to put together a little bit of training around how you can support your child reading at home. So I have emailed out the parent help sheet, which is a bit of a guide which will prompt you into some of the discussions that you can have with your child and around some of the strategies that will support you with reading one-to-one. I have got one of my pupils who's going to be reading to me today, but I did just want to point out that there are obviously, in which you will be aware of, varying levels of different texts in terms of challenge depending on where your child is phonetically and with their spellings as well. So in some books where the levels are a little bit lower, you might have at the very start a sound check that you need to do with your child first. So this is an activity that can be done before reading and during reading, and you tend to find that the sounds at the front of the book, if you test your child on those sounds, which are their phonics sounds, they should be secure in the large majority of those sounds, and these will be the sounds that appear in the book. You can then look at blending the words with your child, and I'll show you a little bit more about that later in the video. But here, these are the words that your child will come across. So these will be familiar words for your child to read. So once you've gone through those, again, they should be secure with those words. And then there are a few little pointers here with regards to what the different words mean to just double check your child's understanding. That is for a yellow colour book. So obviously our book bands progress in varying levels. In some books you won't have the phonics check sounds. What you might have instead is more of a focus on language. So you might have different words that might crop up that you might want to use as a discussion point or as a tool with your child. You might have some top tips. You might have some questions that you want to challenge your child on. And I'm going to hopefully model that today to you. So today's session, I'm going to have the crib sheet in front of me just to prompt me. And on here, it just talks around things such as, is the text appropriate for your child to read? Does it match their phonics ability? And you will know that based on the notes that I've provided in the parent support pack, because there's a bit of narrative there as well. It talks around, is there consistency with their phonics sounds, so are they secure in the sounds? Again, you will know that if your child's fluent in what they're reading and they're not making lots and lots of errors. Does your child join in throughout? Is there a two-way discussion going on between parent and child or teacher and child? Can your child tell you about different words that they've come across before in real life? Have they heard those words in a real life context? Can they put those words into a sentence? So there's lots of information on this sheet that you can use as a bit of a prompt to support your discussion at home. So I'm going to read with one of my Year 2 pupils today. So we are actually reading a turquoise book today, which is a little bit higher up the book band. So I wouldn't expect to see different phonic sounds at the front, so we wouldn't be doing a pre-sound check with this one. But what I am going to do is still focus on the words, and the bit of the guide at the front of the book is a bit of a pre-learning check, if you like. So we're going to try our best, and we're going to just do our super reading like we always do, and we're going to go for it. Okay, so before we start reading, we're going to have a look at our little guide. So I wondered if you could tell me what these different words say, and then we might talk a little bit about what these words might mean. So what's this first word? Till. Till, excellent. What about this word?
Inventor.
Inventor, excellent.
Bro.
Bro.
Guess.
Guess, good girl.
Bling.
Bling.
Hip hop.
And hip hop. Have you heard any of those words before in real life that you know what they mean?
I know what guessing means.
What is guessing?
So if I say 6, I'd 6.
Yeah.
And I didn't know that would equal 12, I would have a guess.
So you might have a guess, good girl, because you're linking that to something that you know about in real life. Do you know what the word inventor means? And it's something to do with science.
You invent something.
Good girl. So if you invent something, what are you doing?
You've built it.
Yeah, or you've created it almost. You've come up with it. What about the word bling? You ever heard of that word before?
No, not really.
sometimes bling is a little bit like a slang word, and it can be used for things like jewellery. Oh, so she's wearing a bit of bling today. Does that make sense? So rather than saying, oh, she's wearing jewellery, she's wearing a bit of bling. Okay. What about this word? Bro. What do you think that's short for?
Best friend.
Could be best friend. There's another word then. It's something to do with having a sibling. So not a sister, something else.
A brother.
A brother. So it can be short. It can be a bit of a familiar term or a friendly saying. So, hi bro, you okay today? Instead of saying hi friend, it's hi bro. Does that make sense? So we've spoken about a few of these words, and these words are probably going to give us a bit of an idea of how this text might go. Now, the text is called Rapunzel. Do you know anything about this text? Do you know the story of Rapunzel?
I know the story of Rapunzel. She's stolen by Mother Gothel, and she ends up in a tower, and she has a really long hair.
Excellent. So you can use that knowledge today when you're reading this text. Is that okay? So we're linking that to your experience in real life. Okay. Let's have a little look at this book. Now, we're going to have a little think about, is it a story? What sort of genre is it? And I want you to pay particular attention to the punctuation. Is that okay? As you read. Okay. So, let's have a look at the first page. What are your first impressions of these characters? Do they look like normal people?
They look like... No, they don't look like normal people.
What do they look like?
Well, this one looks like... And it says here the king's son, so it might be the king's son.
And there was a word that we just introduced you to that was a different word for jewellery. What's he wearing lots of?
Brow.
Well, he could be a brow, but what was that word for jewellery?
Bling.
Bling. So we could say he's wearing lots of bling. So Kevin, the king's son, is wearing lots of bling. What do you notice about the other characters? What are your first impressions of them? Think about the way that they're dressed, the way that they're standing.
Well, this one looks like it's really creative.
Quite a creative character. Good girl. Why do you think he looks quite creative?
Because he's wearing something that an inventor would wear.
Good girl. So you're using your influence. So we have got quite a selection of characters. What's this character's name?
Rapunzel, the main character.
Rapunzel, who we think is going to be the main character. Why do you think she's going to be the main character?
Because it's called Rapunzel.
And that's the title of the book, Good Girl. Who's this one? Trevor. This one? Connor. Good girl. And he is?
The cook's son.
The cook's son. We've got... Think about your sounds. Imran. Yeah? Fabulous. And you were using your phonics. Good girl.
And Toby.
Toby, who is the?
Teacher's son.
Good girl. Okay. Let's have a look. First impressions before we start reading. Does this look like a normal story?
No, it doesn't look like a Rapunzel story. It looks like she's going to raffle something like that.
Okay. Why does it not look like a normal story? Can you comment on how it's set out? What do you notice here that perhaps wouldn't be in a normal story?
It has their names, so we know who's saying it.
Good girl. In a normal story, you wouldn't have that, would you?
No.
It might say that Rapunzel said, but we wouldn't have names at the side of each paragraph, would we?
No.
So you are right. They're taking it in turns, aren't they, to speak? Shall we start reading? Okay. Let's go whenever you're ready.
I'm Rapunzel, and rapping is my game. I'll tell you all how I got my name.
Good girl.
Rapunzel was a princess who was bold and brave. A wicked,
Just stop there. Think again. Slow down.
but a wicked old witch tried to keep her as a slave.
Wow, I'm just going to stop you there for a second. You read that beautifully. what do you notice? We've been doing something in lessons, and I think you're going to be able to pick this out. There's something special about some of the words. What are they doing?
They're rhyming.
They're rhyming, good girl. Which words are rhyming in that first page?
Slave and brave.
Good girl. Can you see any more?
Name and game.
Good girl. What genre of writing, so what type of writing have we been doing in class where we might spot rhymes? What have we been reading? It wasn't a story. What was
Poem.
it? A poem, good girl. And in a poem, there was something else. There was something else that began with a It wasn't just rhyme, it was something else.
Rhythm.
Rhythm. What does rhythm mean?
Rhythm means like it's got a beat to
A bit of a beat. So if I show you, and if I read this first page again, I want you to think about that word rhythm. Is that okay? So, I'm Rapunzel and rapping's my game. I'll tell you all how I got my name. Rapunzel was a princess who was bold and brave, but a wicked old witch tried to keep her as a slave. What do you notice about the beat and the rhythm?
It's going like from this bit. It's the same rhythm as this one.
It keeps the same beat all the way
Yeah.
through, doesn't it? Do you think you could have a go at rereading that now that we've thought about the rhythm? So I'll do the first line and then you could have a go. So listen to Miss Worthington first. I'm Rapunzel and rapping's my game.
I'm Rapunzel and rapping's my game.
High five. Next bit. Ready? I'll tell you all how I got my name.
I'll tell you all how I got my name.
Fabulous. Rapunzel was a princess who was bold and brave.
Rapunzel was a princess who was bold and brave.
Good girl. But a wicked old witch tried to keep her as a slave.
A wicked old witch tried to keep her as a slave.
Fabulous. I'm going to let you now carry on reading, but this time I want you to think about that rhythm as you're reading. Is that okay?
Because Rapunzel's a rapper, so every time Rapunzel comes on, I might rap.
Excellent. You go for it whenever you're ready.
She was looking in a tower that was strong and tall. There was no way out of that tower at all.
You read that beautifully. The only thing we need to remember is this word here. What's that word say? Locked, that word is. So I think the first time we read, we just read it normally, and then the second time we can think about doing the rhythm. Is that okay? So this one says she was locked in a tower that was strong and tall. There was no way out of that tower at all. Do you think you could try that one again? Off you go.
She was locked in a tower that was strong and tall. There was no way out of that tower at all.
High five. Can you infer how she might be feeling? What does infer mean?
Infer means her feelings.
So think about our viper. So what does the V stand for? The
Vocabulary.
and the I or the I is inference. So if we infer something, the answer's not always obvious. So we might use pictures to help us infer how she's feeling. So look at the expression on her face. What might you say or what might you infer about that character?
She's scared because it looks like she's screaming because she doesn't like the monster.
She doesn't like the monster. You are so clever, good girl. Okay, so this time again, don't worry about the rhythm for the first time. You just read it, and if there's any tricky words, you can do your sounding out. You take your time and read through that page for me. Is that okay?
Rapunzel had nothing. Her room was bare. The only thing to help her was her long, long hair. She opened her window and without a shout.
Take your time. Shall we sound it out? S. Ow. D. Sound. Good girl.
Without a sound, she let down her hair till it reached the ground. Along came a prince who was looking for a wife. He'd never seen such long hair in his life.
Excellent. What did she do with her window?
She opened the window.
She opened it. Can you find the bit in the text that tells me that she opened her window?
This bit. She opened her window without a sound.
Excellent. And what did she do with her hair?
She let it down until it touched the ground.
Good girl. Okay. Look at this page.
He called up to the window and Rapunzel leaned out. She was...
Take time.
She saw the prince and she gave a shout.
Now, pay attention to this bit because we've got some punctuation marks. Do you know what they're called?
You need expression for them.
Yeah, why do you need expression for them? What are they? Do you know what they're called?
Commas.
They're not commas, they are speech marks. So they show us that someone is talking, but you are absolutely right. We need to use expression now because someone's talking. What does expression mean?
Expression means that if I was the character there, I would have to use a lot of expression because she's seen the prince.
So you're thinking about the situation that she's in. So I'm going to read this bit now and you tell me if Miss Worthington is using expression. If you climb up my hair, you can set me free.
No.
Why am I not using expression?
Because it's like you're supposed to go, if you climb up my hair, you can set me free.
So does my voice need to be a bit more dramatic?
Yeah.
Okay, so what about this? If you climb up my hair, you can set me free.
Yeah.
Is that better? What would you give that out of 10?
10 out of 10.
Excellent, thank you. Right, keep going.
When the prince saw her face, he was quickly to agree.
He was quick to agree. Good girl.
So Rapunzel expression.
Think about it. Split diagraph.
Escape.
Good girl.
And as you can guess, my mum named after me.
Oh, read that bit again so it makes sense for you.
My mum named me after that clever princess.
Excellent. Okay, we're going to leave it there for our video. You did such a good job. The only other thing to mention is once you have read with your child, so if you get to the end of your book, there will usually be, depending on the level, a bit of a post activity that you can do. So in this situation, so for Rapunzel, for our turquoise level, there's a bit of drama that your child might be able to do at the end of the book. So it says act out Rapunzel. So it's asking you to ask your child to perhaps show you some of the events that took place in the story, just to consolidate the learning that's taken place. So I do hope that you found that helpful. That's just another example of what reading one-to-one might look like and engaging in that two-way dialogue and discussion. But please do use the parent help sheet because it really will support that one-to-one discussion. And please do remember that reading is a two-way dialogue. So by you modelling expression and by you modelling sentences and taking it in turns to do different things throughout, it will alleviate the pressure off your child. They won't feel like they've got to race to get to the end of a page. So thank you very much for listening. Shall we wave? Thank you.